So, this year's theme for the Content and Context Conference is adapting to the evolving educational environment. And first of all, I'm an ecologist by background, so it was really natural and a science educator. But when I look at what's happening in the marketplace, we're seeing just some fundamental changes are happening. And yet, how we look at how we adapt and adopt these kinds of shifts and the role that we play as publishers in terms of both reacting to the direction, but at the same time helping guide that process is really part of that adaptation that takes place. So, as we look at the kinds of successes that we're going to have going ahead, it really has a lot to do with the kind of shifts that are happening in the marketplace. How do we better address the needs of learners? How do we support educators as professionals? How do we look at the economics of the business? And that's really what we're trying to address at the CIC this year. The objectives for this year's CIC conference are some are similar to what we've had historically, which is really to look at some of these verticals within companies, really to make sure that we're addressing the CEO, the COO within the organization, that we're looking at the CFO's role, the chief marketing person's role, as well as the development part of that organization. And those all need to share uh, some common knowledge about the marketplace and be able to really best represent the interests of their part of their organization. And yet, that executive leadership team needs to be able to work coherently and cohesively around that process. So, we still have the major strands that we've had in the past. We're also really trying to make sure this year that we're looking at also the disparate expertise that we have in the marketplace and making sure that for those who are really at the leading edge, that they're able to provide input and direction, and that we're able to, as an organization, be able to help drive this change in the industry. And for those who may not be as engaged, who don't know, let's just say, the technology as much, that they are able to come up to speed about that and be able to be active participants in that process if they themselves are not leaders. So it's really addressing the needs of the industry as a whole and recognizing that we all need to move ahead together at our respective paces.